Hey, 8th grade, it is Monday. Welcome to English and week 4 of remote learning. So go to your classwork page and check out today's quick write. Remember 5 complete and quality sentences. Your quick write for today, tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday are all due Friday at 2:30 p.m. And your Friday quick write will be due Monday at 2:30 p.m. That means that last week's Friday's quick write is due today at 2:30 p.m. So make sure that's done and turned in on time, okay? So today we're moving on to the next story or essay. And we're going to be doing the first read today. So make sure that you have your textbooks with you like the description said. And we're going to start on page 286 and 287, okay? So I just want to give you a little summary and background before we start the first read. This is called Ban the Ban. Soda's a problem, but Ban the Ban is an article by Sydney N. Stone. The writer argues that New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg's laws around soda portion control impact her civil liberties. So this is kind of the opposite of what the last one was. One argued for, this one's arguing against. Stone begins by discussing some of the other laws that Bloomberg has made to control behavior. For example, there are laws that limit where people can smoke and laws that require restaurants to post calorie information. These laws made sense to Stone, but the soda ban does not. She says that the soda ban limits her options and her rights. She argues that government should not be allowed to make these kinds of decisions for citizens. She warns that these limits may start with soda, but move on in other kinds of food bans. Ultimately, this may impact future freedoms. Stone encourages readers to fight back for their freedom. Soda's a problem, but Bloomberg doesn't have the solution, is an article by Karen Klein. She argues that New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg does not have the right to make a law that regulates the size of soda a person can drink. Klein says that soda is not healthy, especially in large portions. However, she says that Bloomberg's law crosses the line by interfering with people's personal choices. Klein points out that the law was developed without following a collaborative process. Instead, she says that Bloomberg made the decision himself. Klein questions whether the government should be able to dictate what people eat. She argues that people should be able to make their own choices and suggests that people nationally are beginning to learn about the dangers of too much soda. So, this is actually 2 separate opinion pieces, okay? So, 2 short essays on the same topic. So, 2 different people are giving their own views on this. These are both essentially argumentative essays, but they were written as articles, okay? So if you look in your textbook, page 286, there's some concept vocabulary for this. We're going to do the same thing we did last week with our story and rank these from most familiar, number 1, to least familiar, number 6, okay? So I'm going to read the words and please write your ranking. Remember, you only have 1 of each number, okay? So we have implemented, implemented, mandates, mandates, intervene, intervene, intentions, intentions, dictate, dictate, and exemption, exemption. Okay, so go over those and make sure you have your ranking, please. So the first one that we're going to do is Ban the Ban by Sydney N. Stone. So a little background on this. In 2012, New York City's Mayor Michael Bloomberg pushed for a law limiting soft drink sizes as part of his focus on public health. The law won the approval of the city's Board of Health but industry groups claimed it was illegal because it interfered with consumers' choices. A judge ruled against the law because it excluded certain businesses and did not apply to all beverages. All right, so let's see what Sydney Enstone has to say. Please follow along while I read. When Mayor Bloomberg implemented laws banning smoking in bars, parks, and restaurants, that made sense. Whether or not I agreed, I understood the rationale because other people's health would inadvertently be impacted by the smoke. When he insisted on calorie counts being posted, I think many of us cringed, but again, it made sense. If you want to know how many calories something is before you indulge, it is now spelled out for you. On days when you feel like being especially naughty, you just don't look and order it anyway. That's what life is all about, isn't it? Choices, informed decisions. I respect being given information that enables me to make an informed decision. What I do not respect is having my civil liberties stripped away. When you take away the option to order a soda over a certain size, you have now removed my options. I no longer have a choice. This is not what this country is all about. I agree wholeheartedly that obesity is an issue that needs to be addressed. It is one that needs to be addressed with education, compassion, and support, not government mandates. If despite all those efforts, someone chooses to have sugary drink anyway, that is their choice and their right. If they know all the facts and they do it anyway, that is a personal choice. It is not the place of our elected officials to intervene. We cannot allow our government to make these kinds of decisions for us. I have said it before, and I will say it again. Once you allow the government to make choices on your behalf, it becomes a very slippery slope. I personally feel that it goes against everything this country stands for. We are a country built on freedom. That includes basic freedoms like what you are going to drink while watching a movie, and eating what will soon be unbuttered and unsalted popcorn, according to Mayor Bloomberg. Remember the days when New York was a really cool and fun place to live? Me too. Now a simple thing like going to the movies has even lost its flavor. The people of New York need to show our mayor that money can't buy him everything. He says he's going to fight back to get this pushed through. Well, it is our responsibility to fight back too. People think it is not important because it's just soda, but it is so much more than that. It is about freedom and the freedom to make your own decisions about what you do and what you put into your bodies. It started with soda, and he has already moved on to salt. What's going to be next? If you're reading this and you're not a New Yorker, don't think you are not going to be affected. You will. It starts here, and it will spread throughout the nation. I hope you will all start to speak up about this issue, or before you know it, it won't be the land of the free and the home of the brave anymore. One day in the not too distant future, we're all going to wake up in the land of Big Brother with a list of things we can and cannot do, eat, drink, say, and so on, and we'll be wondering how we got there. Well, this is how. All right, that was the first essay. So we're going to move on to the next one. Soda's a Problem, but by, who was it? Karen Klein. Okay, so the intentions of New York Mayor Michael R. Bloomberg may be laudable, but it's wrong for one man, even an elected official, and even a well-meaning one at that, to dictate to people how big a cup of sugary soda they're allowed. That I have a tremendous regard for soda. It's bad for you, especially in large quantities. The evidence against it mounts on a semi-regular basis, but the mayor's initiative goes further than something like a soda tax, which might aim to discourage people from purchasing something by making it cost a bit more. but leaves the decision in their hands. Bloomberg is playing nanny in the worst sort of way by interfering in a basic private transaction involving a perfectly legal substance. In restaurants and other establishments overseen by the city's health inspectors, it would have been illegal to sell a serving of most sugary drinks, except fruit juice. I always wonder about that exemption, considering the sugar calories in apple juice. That's more than 16 ounces. Convenience stores such as 7-Eleven are overseen by the state and would be exempt, but a Burger King across the street would be restricted. A pizza restaurant would not be able to sell a 2-liter bottle of soda that would be shared out among the children at a birthday party, but they could all have a 16-ounce cup. The inherent contradictions that make it easier to sneer at such rules have been well reported and were a good part of why earlier this week a judge stopped the new rules from being implemented. But he also pointed out a deeper problem. Bloomberg essentially made this decision himself. It was approved by the Board of Health, but that's a board of the administration, appointed by the mayor. That was an overreach that thwarted the system of checks and balances, according to the judge. The separately elected city council would have to approve the laws. That still leaves the question of whether governments or their leaders can begin dictating the look of an individual's meal, the portion sizes for each aspect. There are times when government has to step in an obviously dangerous situations, especially those such as smoking that affect people other than the person whose behavior would be curbed. But it is my belief we want to scrutinize them carefully and keep them to a minimum. For that matter, it's not as though the mayor is moving to limit sales of tobacco or 2 cigarettes per transaction. Not that government has to aid and abet the situation. Schools don't have to sell junk foods, and thankfully, after years of sacrificing their students' health to their desire to raise more money, most of them have stopped allowing vending machines stocked with sodas. Governments are under no obligation to sell such stuff in park or pool vending machines or in their offices. In such cases, government is simply the vendor making a decision about what it wants to sell. I don't buy the argument that people are helpless in the face of sugar and that it's better to have the government rather than the corporations dictate their behaviors. If people are so helpless against soda, the mayor's edict would be even more meaningless because people would simply buy 2 16-ounce cups. But people are not helpless, and it's worrisome to promote a philosophy that infantizes the individual. The public is simply ill-informed. It takes a while for people to become aware, but they do and they react. Soda consumption already is slipping nationwide. Let's not forget that scientists and even governments have at times pushed people with better intentions than food corporations, certainly into eating high levels of refined carbohydrates and sugars, by sending out word that the only thing that really matters when it comes to obesity is to eat a very low-fat diet. All right, so that is your reading for today. Tomorrow we're going to do our close read, so I will let you know in tomorrow's video what you need to mark in your reading. And we will also do the 3 questions for the comprehension check tomorrow, okay? And then the next day I'll go over the answers. So after this, make sure you head back over to do your quick write and get that done. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for listening. Good luck and have a good day.